I recently had to solve a problem while I was animating, and I thought I would share it in this developer's notes video. In Delura, a lot of interaction happens between characters and technology, so I'm always trying to find new ways to make that interaction more believable and more out of this world. Sure enough, in this scene, the character on the stage has a miniature hologram that changes the way that the hologram above him looks in his presentation. Take a look as he waves his hand around in a circular pattern. I wanted the hologram to change color as his hand travels around the ring. Since all I wanted was a simple change of color, I opened up Flash and was thinking that I could just make some kind of pie chart mask animation which determines the opacity of whatever I want. So if black equals completely transparent and white equals opaque, then I can just make a circle and then, okay. I know how masking works in Flash, but how do I make it conform to the shape that I'm wanting to convey? Okay, cut it in half and set the pivot to the center and rotate. There we go. So using two semicircles, I managed to get this animation going. But it's not quite done yet. It looks too flat. It needs some kind of gradient to it. So what I did was I just duplicated it and then cascaded the layers in such a fashion where each consecutive layer has a lesser brightness than the previous. So I'm left with an animation that looks like this. It's better. It has a smoother transition between light and dark. So what I do is I export this as an image sequence of PNG files. Then I jump back into Lightwave. Okay, so the object needs a simple UV map, so that gets created, then repositioned and scaled to coincide with the image sequence. Then in Surface Properties, I set it so that the circle fade mask thing is the alpha layer of a color value. This means that as the animation plays, the color fade mask will reveal more of the color as frames pass. When I go back into the animation portion of Lightwave, I can then choose what frame the masking animation starts. And with all of that crap done, I have the effect that I wanted, a gradual change of color based on this character's hand movements. I could have probably done all of this in Lightwave, but I find that it's easier to do 2D things in a 2D program. This masking technique also gives me other ideas as to how I can manipulate my visuals to a higher degree. Stuff that would be very hard to do by hand. For instance, this test animation was achieved by taking the circle mask I just created and applying it to various other properties such as luminosity, specularity, etc. That's all for now. There's still a lot of animation and some last-minute artwork to do concerning Episode 5, and I'm sure I'll run into other things just like this where I'll have to kind of think outside of the box in order to achieve a certain visual effect.
Because we just happen to have the opportunity to solve all of our problems.